Welcome back to another Briar-Side Chat. I'm so excited. We've got none other than Parsimonious Piper with us today. Ethan, we're so glad to have you, sir. And I'm going to have you give a little word of introduction, kind of what you're smoking. I'm going to go ahead and get mine lit. This is one of my Perkins pipes, a pipe that I made, a bent brandy. So I'm going to go ahead and get this guy lit. You go ahead and start talking to us about what you've got going on there.
All right. Well, in a Briar-Lee bent egg with a diamond shank, I have got a bowl of my blend of the week. This week is Cornell and Deal's 5 o'clock Shadow. It's a Red Virginia, Kentucky, and Perique. Sort of along the lines of a Haunted Bookshop or Old Joe Krantz, but with Kentucky instead of the Burleys. So it's right up my alley.
Fantastic.
If I can get it to stay lit.
Well, so you know what? Let's just launch off with that. It's so interesting to me. I know there are some people who really that's a big deal to them about keeping the pipe lit and not doing relights. And then there's other guys for whom it really just doesn't seem to matter that much. And I got to tell you, I'm in the latter category.
I am too.
So certainly when I'm enjoying a pipe by myself, oh yeah, it lasts a long time. You know, few relights until maybe get to the end of the bowl. Obviously, when I'm talking, there's going to be a lot more of that. But at the end of the day, I don't really care. It's just part of it for me.
Well, I fell in love after Onion introduced them to me a couple of years ago with the Gawith Hogarth, the black and brown Irish twists, particularly in rope form.
Okay.
And when those are in any kind of good condition, they take a lot of relights. Unless you dry them out to the point where they don't have their flavor anymore, you're just going to have to be patient and relight. So I fell in love with the flavor of those so much that I just don't care about relights anymore.
There you go. It's not a particularly a big deal. Now, obviously, there's a lot of guys that their lighter is almost as important to them as their pipe. I am using the good old standard Zippo pipe lighter. Two reasons. I've mentioned this before. My dad had a silver Zippo he used for his cigarette. But then the other thing is that satisfying click and the flip. So
yeah,
part of the deal of relighting a pipe, I don't mind because I like fooling around with the lighter. Now I see you're using. Looks like you're using matches there.
That's my go-to if there's no breeze is always going to be a match. Now, I am cheap enough that if I've got that much match left, I'm going to hit it with my Zippo and reuse a good match. Why waste a good match?
Why waste? Oh my goodness! Now you really are making me think of my dad. When my dad and I used to go play golf, and this was when I was a boy growing up, elementary, middle school, high school. We would play at municipal courses, and we would always joke. We'd see, like a whole tee, right, lying there on the tee box. And my dad would always go, "Whoa, must be some rich people playing here. They can leave those whole tees lying around, right?" And then we would pick up those tees. Even sometimes if they were snapped in half, but they were still a decent length on the tee there, man, we'd pick those things up and use them. Good grief. Why in the world not? And so I'm right there with you on reusing a match.
Well, if you're on a short hole and you're going to use an iron, a broken tee is a great thing to use because you're right there in the grass anyway.
Well, there it is. So I was just talking with somebody just recently who was around my age and fairly new into piping. Just a little over a year, I think, for him. How long have you been enjoying a pipe?
Enjoying one, probably 4 or 5 years. I tried and failed 30 plus years ago back in college. Of course, I went to school in Missouri, so I, of course, bought a local corn cob. In fact, one of the guys in my wedding was from Washington, and
really.
Yeah, so I bought a corn cob, and I'm pretty sure that the first blend I ever tried was Captain Black Cherry, and it just burned the snot out of my mouth because I had no clue what I was doing. I had no mentors. I didn't have YouTube guys to show me
Right.
what to, and we were just a bunch of idiot college kids who, you know, our idea of a good cigar was anything that didn't have a wood tip.
Yeah.
You know, and most of what we smoked had wood tips. So I had no idea what I was doing with the pipe. I've been enjoying it though for about 5 years, 6 years. Back around 2018,
Okay.
son's friends was smoking a corn cob, and I thought, you know, I tried that before. I ought to try that again. And so I started back into it a little bit before the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, I dove in whole body because it was an opportunity to connect with other guys doing a guy kind of thing. I know there are ladies out there in the crowd. I understand that. We love having you along with us. But I really, at the time, particularly thought of this as a guy thing, and it was a way for me to connect when I was forced to stay home.
Well,
But I had gotten into it just a year and a half or so earlier, and really started enjoying it in around early 2019.
gotcha. I will give a shout out to Carolina Rose. She's one of the subscribers here on Perkins Pipes. We love you, dear, and I would love to have you on a Briar-Side Chat sometime. But you know, you mentioned that being kind of a guy's thing, and let's just be honest, in terms of the raw numbers, okay,
Yeah.
more guys. Um, Certainly glad to have a bunch of young bucks that are coming along. I'm seeing the young guys doing this, but at the same time, you're also seeing a lot of probably more middle-aged guys and
Mm-hmm.
so forth. And you know what I want to say about that? That is okay. It is okay for us
Yeah.
guys to enjoy stuff as guys. Yeah, I'm not going to get off on any kind of political tangents. I promise that to you and the viewers here. But it does seem to be that in at least in the Western world over the last several years, decades maybe, there kind of has been a tendency to maybe belittle guys for doing guy things and wanting to hang
Mm-hmm.
out with other guys. I'm going, well, that's just nuts. It's ludicrous. All cultures have done it. Women have done their things together. Men have done their things together. Not out of segregation, just hey, you know, we have obviously some shared interests and we like to hang together. And so certainly pipes, I agree. It's been really neat connecting with people over YouTube and so forth. So tell me, what other kind of besides YouTube, because I think that's how we connected was YouTube.
Yeah.
What other online stuff do you engage in, like Pipe Cottage Social or any of the Facebook apps or Facebook groups, that kind of stuff?
Nothing anymore. I do have a Facebook account, and I'm connected to and get notifications from some of the guys in the YTPC. Um, my Facebook was really only ever used to keep in touch with people from places we had lived before. My wife and I are both military brats,
Oh,
and we've lived in Nashville, Arizona, and now here. So we've got some friends from around the country, and so I've used it to follow up and you know, keep an eye on their kids as their kids grow up. I don't have a real heavy footprint. I post maybe once or twice a year on Facebook.
gotcha.
Same thing with Instagram. I have an account mostly because I lurk there. You know, I watch guys that post, but I haven't. I don't think I've posted anything on Instagram. So no, outside of YouTube, my social media presence right now is pretty much nothing.
Yeah. Well, I've got a very, very good friend who, especially I think on Twitter or X, he did the same thing. He rarely posts. He occasionally reposts something, but for the most part, it's a way for him to follow news and other things like that. We first got our Facebook when some older friends of ours moved away and wanted to stay in touch. And really, it was a retired couple that got us into Facebook some years ago, and then you know. So I got to ask, just seeing you here on the video like this, that is a fabulous mustache, my brother. Talk. How long have you cultivated the stash?
Well, it started a year ago when I started the Yeards challenge with Israel, SoCal Piper.
Oh,
Uh, I decided I wasn't going to touch the stash either, so I let it grow, and I started training it using wax.
yeah.
And so it's been a little over a year and a month now that I've been working at it, and I finally got the handlebars to where they're starting to behave. Of course, my wife absolutely hates it. She says I look like a combination between a carnival barker and Snidely Whiplash. So uh, it is what it is. Mostly for her, I will actually pull the corners down, and they behave pretty well. Um, but for a YouTube video, no, I had to do the curl thing. I love it.
Well, we appreciate that, and we thank your wife for allowing you to do that. In fact, that was going to be my next question. You really kind of already answered it, which was, what does your wife think about it? It is so interesting, those of us who are married, men who are married, how much of our appearance and the way we engage with the world really is determined by our wives.
Oh, absolutely.
And you know what? That's fine too. Hey, listen, we love them. We want them to be happy. Don't want to do anything that's going to really rub them the wrong way.
Well, there's nobody else on the planet that I want to make a good impression on the way I do with her. So
Beautiful.
I have not reached the point yet where I'm willing to trim the mustache because I've just worked too hard on it. But I am willing when I'm with her to shape it the way she prefers. I can do that. That's my compromise.
Well, that is beautiful. I used to for 2-3 years. I've had a beard for the longest time. But for 2-3 years, and I teach. I'm a high school teacher, and we'd hit Thanksgiving break, and that's when I would stop trimming,
Mm.
and then I wouldn't trim it back again until spring break. So
All
from
right.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, all that kind of winter, letting it get a
Mm.
little bit fuller. Now, part of me always wanted to get one of those Civil War length beards. I got to tell you, one of the guys I admire the most for his beard was one of the Southern guys, General James Longstreet. You
Oh
ever
yeah.
Longstreet? Man's got this rich, thick chest length beard. I'm going, oh yeah, I want one of those. Well, it would never really go to length. It would just kind of get full and just not extend. And so finally, my wife's like, yeah, I just don't really. I like it when you keep it shorter. I'm like,
Yeah, my wife's much more a General Grant kind of guy, nice and short trimmed.
yeah, yeah. That's what my wife prefers, and so uh, that's pretty much what I do too as well. Now, I do see that you're smoking inside your home. It appears. Do you have any kind of special ventilation system you've hooked up to take care of that?
Well, you can see I've got an
Oh,
external fan in the
okay.
window.
I see it there now. Yeah, yeah.
That does a decent enough job. Now I'm not running it right now because it usually puts out enough of a hum that you can hear it. You can pick it up on videos.
Got it.
But I've also got a Rabbit Air, the air purifier that does a pretty good job. Now, anybody who's interested in those should know that does not clean the air while you're smoking. That cleans up after you're done. Keep the
Okay.
door closed, and it'll clean the circulation out after you're done. Out in the hall, I've got a candle lit, and my wife keeps a stock of candles that she likes, and we light one out in the hall. I also have a Levoit air purifier, the column type, out in the hall. So I don't have a dedicated system. I've seen guys who put in
Yeah.
a wall mounted external fan, and they
Yeah.
actually seal the whole room off to where no air can get out.
Right.
I haven't gone that full on route yet, but um, so far with this combination of things, my wife has at least tolerated me smoking inside when it's 90 degrees and 90% humidity outside right now here in North Carolina. It's awful.
Yeah.
So she's been pretty tolerant, and so I have to give her the little thank you,
Yeah.
dear.
God bless her for that. For
You
me,
bet.
it's either out here on the deck. I'm in central Indiana. And it's a beautiful day right now. It's getting a little warm. But I'm usually out here on the deck or in the cold months, in the garage. And at some point this winter, I went and bought a space heater. So I could kind of huddle around my space heater in the garage so I could still smoke my pipe. Yeah, because my wife really does not enjoy anything. And there's some other members of our family, extended family, that smoke cigarettes, and she just
Oh,
doesn't any kind of smoke at all, and just doesn't. So I want to respect that and keep it out of the house. But
right. Well, I did try when I first started. My wife had gotten me a little circulating fan and a little air purifier thing. We tried the garage, but the garage is right under our master bedroom. And it didn't matter what we did, she could always smell it. And so
yeah,
the my office here that I'm in is adjacent to our master upstairs. And so the smoke goes up into the attic, not into our bedroom. And
perfect.
so it's not an ideal situation for her. It's perfect for me.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, it, the compromise has worked so far.
Good deal. So we're going to kind of start to wrap her up here, simply because, as I had said when I announced this to everybody, we want to try to keep it in the shorter range, certainly to respect everybody's time and
Mm-hmm.
viewers. Let's be honest, attention spans are not the longest these days, and so forth. So maybe share with us something else that you really are into, either in addition to piping or while you like to enjoy a pipe.
Well, let's get completely outside of piping. Something I've done since I was a teenager. I've truly enjoyed playing the piano, and I am not active right now in a church in our church. I have been up until a couple of years ago. I've kind of been on a hiatus, um, but playing for choirs, playing for worship services, that sort of thing. Um, I do have to admit I didn't get into it for all the right reasons. When I was 13 and decided, you know, I looked around and musicians seemed to have no trouble getting girls around them. And we happened to have a piano at home. And I thought, I bet church girls like pianos too. And sure enough, they do. And so I learned to play for church, but I learned to play so that I would get a little more attention than I was getting. And it stuck. I played through high school, jazz bands and swing bands
Oh,
and all.
cool.
And so yeah, that is something that I really do enjoy, and I'm looking to get back more involved in over this next year is back into helping with worship music. And I know you're involved in that too. And part of what we need to do at our age is to be involved, but to be passing that on
Oh,
to
absolutely. 100%.
getting them involved, and not just making the show about us, but about making sure that we really do generate
Yeah.
another generation of leaders.
Oh boy. Oh, listen. You're whether you want to or not, you're going to come back on this show. We're going to have another whole episode
All
just
right.
talking about men and adults, but men building into the next generation and the leadership thing. I am so passionate about that. Totally agree with that. You're not going to be able to tell this, and I cannot believe I'm going to do this. So let's see if this actually shows up here. But brother, I do not have a lot of hair up on the top side here. I don't know. I don't know what's going to pick up there. But back in the day, when I was in college, I stopped getting a haircut completely. I got my rock locks. Okay, I have my long hair for one reason. I went to Indiana University for my undergraduate degree, and I read an article in the student newspaper that said that girls were into guys with long hair. Kid you not, that was the last haircut I got. Uh, so that is a prime motivator for us guys.
It is.
Wow. Well, Parsimonious Piper, check him out on YouTube, folks. It's so great to have you on. And like I say, we'll be sure to have you on again sometime.
Thanks a lot. This has been a blast.